Welcome to CX&Chill, the real, raw customer experience podcast from Exo Studios, the creative arm of ExtendOps. Today's host, Diana Castañeda, sits down with Maureen Kamaishah, Senior Director, Customer Experience at HelloFresh, for an insightful conversation about the significance of cultivating feel-good experiences, harnessing the power of AI for personal gain, impacting women on CX one at a time, and finding inspiration in ugali. Get ready to be inspired and enjoy this engaging discussion. CX&Chill starts now.
Hello everyone, and thank you very much for joining us again in a new episode of CX&Chill. I'm very honored to have a very new, fresh person that I recently met with us. She's got more than a decade experience in customer experience, building through technology and very detailed quality processes, I've heard, but I'll let her introduce herself better. Thank you very much for being with us, Maureen.
That was so cool. I normally just introduce myself as Maureen.
Wow. So I'm just saying, with all of the things you're gonna share, I'm like, oh my God, it's hard to, like how do I put it? How shall I put it?
That was good. Thank you. I'm excited to be here and to talk about a favorite subject of mine, which is customer experience. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. So I want to dig a little bit more of how do you start this? Like, what many people know what CX and like the corporate world and everything, but what's CX for you and how did you get into this?
How did I get into this? I think it chose me.
That's good.
I think it did.
Cut paraphrase. How did CX chose you? I like that.
Right? I don't think I could go back to a time. I'm naturally a helper.
Okay.
I like helping people in various forms. So it's just who I am. Yeah. And so I've worked in the customer service industry in different companies. And I just naturally gravitate towards that. I also like to use my hands. So that's other ways that I also help. So to me, when I think of customer experience, it's just how can I make that other person really good about a service or an action that somebody else did. And if I'm that somebody else, they feel good about it, right?
Yeah.
So it can look many different ways. And so that's what I think about when I think about customer experience and customer service. But I think it just chose me. It just, everywhere I've worked, the things that I've done in life, they just pull me into that. And nice. I think it's because I'm naturally just a helper.
And it's a very good point that you touch, because usually you would think of CX like the office or the process or the technology world or whatever, but you actually live CX in everything that you do, right? Like in every single touch or personal touch that you yep. can do. That's very nice. So if I was going to ask you, like, what would be one of the best experience that you have had in your personal experience or career, whatever, if it's mixed, if you want to call it like that, of customer experience, what would that be, and how did that shape you? Like, what was the impact that it had on you?
Yeah, I've had many of those, and I think the ones that touch me the most are the ones where I can tell that somebody put thought into it.
Okay,
it's not just something that was
given.
I stumbled upon. It was somebody behind it putting some thought into it, and then when I come into contact with that experience, I love it. So I've had many of those in different capacities, but those are the ones that make the most impact. And thought behind it could be very simple. I like to think of a good customer experience as whatever resolves the need that you had, and the need could be a very small thing, but it brings so much joy to you. So if I were to even look at the spectrum of good customer experiences that I have, some of them are as easy as I walk into a new space and somebody says hello to me.
Yeah.
Because they see me and I'm a person. I'm not just another, I'm not just
subject,
passing by.
yeah.
Like, I'm coming into your space and you welcome me in a friendly manner. As simple as that. That's an experience that's going to set me off into whatever adventure I have in that space. So it differs, right? Or you walk into like a hotel and you see that they put some thought into your stay there, and you feel like they were preparing for you to come. Like, those are good experiences.
Yeah.
You call, like, I'm in the food industry, you know, you go into food service, right? And the person that you're working with really takes good care of you and manages that experience for you. They put thought into it. So I think for me, when I see that, and I've had so many experiences of that's really powerful.
And you just said, I like the word powerful. You just said something that just stick to my mind. You said, I just feel it, right? But sometimes it's hard to explain, like, what you're feeling, right? And how do you mix it, Sarah? How would you explain that? Like, how?
My word is joy.
Okay.
If I feel joy in my heart after having an experience with someone, that to me is good. It needs to spark joy in my heart. I know there are so many different ways in the CX arena that we try to make experiences good, but the happiness that it brings inside my heart is what to me makes it good. So maybe I don't want to try too hard, and maybe you make it easy for me. That's good. But easy doesn't always mean joy.
Yeah.
It needs to be easy, but it also needs to make me feel good. So, like, my word for a good CX is joy. It brings joy when I have that experience.
Do you recall any specific situation, moment where you felt that joy?
I will tell you, I have many of those, especially recently. And in my work, I'm into giving that to customers, right?
Right.
So when I experience it, I notice it, I recognize it, right? So I recently had an interaction with a customer service agent, and I use that example because I live in that space on a daily basis. And so it was a transaction that took forever, and I had paid extra to have the expedited, right?
Okay.
And it took long, and I'm calling back, and I said, but when I went to your website, it said, if you pay extra, you will get your services expedited. So I paid extra to get it expedited. And the person transferred me to another department whoever was in that department would help me.
Yeah.
But, and granted, they did. But it's not that they helped me, it's how they helped me. Walking me through what had happened, very personable, very knowledgeable too. They knew what was happening, what was going on with me. They understood my frustration, you know?
You felt like, yes, connected.
I like, you get me.
Yeah, you get me. That's the word. Yeah.
You know, you get me. And like, I'm not some crazy person. Like, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
And it made me feel good. And that's what I was trying to say, like, earlier. What good CX looks like, it could mean very many different things, but that's one recent example. It's how they made me feel during that interaction that made me feel really, really good, because it also lets me know that there are good customer service agents out there, and like, when I see good service as a customer, I experience it makes me feel good, because I know if I work with my team and they're producing that kind of a service, then my customers will feel just as good.
You're spreading the joy.
Yes, spreading the joy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious, and when I was just checking on all of the fantastic things that you do, I was like wondering in my head and said, what is it how does she get inspired? Like, there must be something, someone, an object, living animal, whatever it is, like, that inspires you. So what motivates you, or what inspires you?
Yeah.
The ugali.
That's
the ugali for
the
sure.
Ugali. That's gonna be the talk of the day.
You
Trust
need to
me.
Google it, people. Ugali.
Ugali is my traditional food, for those of you who are wondering what she just said. But yes, ugali is my favorite food. So of course,
that's your fuel.
Yeah, I feel it. But I think I draw inspiration from many spaces.
Okay.
And personally, I intentionally want to do that. So I don't have a specific person that inspires me. I have many people that inspire me for different reasons, right? So like my mom, she inspires me because she has a tenacity that I admired growing up, you know, and just watching how she has dealt with life, and especially for me being a mom, and just now being a mom and then knowing what it took for her to raise me, those kind of things, you know.
Yeah.
And then I have really good people that I work with. I have really great friends. So I draw inspiration from many places, including my daughter. You know, she's 12 years old now, and believe it or not, she schools me on stuff. So
I believe you. I mean, nowadays
You
we're
know?
like, yeah.
I like to think of myself as advanced in technology and knowledgeable about like what's new in the society, but trust me, she's way ahead of the game.
Way beyond.
But I'll draw inspiration from people, from moments. I like to be intentional about like even this moment now, like be here, experience it so that you know, did it work, did it not work? Like I like to live like that, and I draw inspiration from such things, right? I do have a life quote though. And I came across this quote years ago, maybe 2 decades ago. And it just spoke to me, and that was it.
Okay.
And my quote is, how would the person that I would want to be do the thing that I'm supposed to do?
Okay.
Right? So if I'm about to do something, I don't think of myself as where I am now, because I always strive to be a better person. So like if you meet me tomorrow, I better be better than I was today. And that's a goal I have internally, right? So the question is, if I'm better tomorrow, what I'm about to do now, how would I do it? You know? And it kind of like this, I bring in like a persona, like a better self of a better
Like your
version of
future
myself,
you,
my future me.
Yeah,
I bring it into today and I apply it, and I always want to do something better than I probably would have done based on what I know today.
I got the goosebumps, like the future you.
Yes.
Wow, you really connect with, you know, like with yourself and then projecting everything. That's inspiring. And I mean, me as a woman, I think like, okay, I have had many challenges or many upside downs, and I'm sure you have, you know, like faced many obstacles, or, you know, like challenges that are good for you sometimes. Can you recall one of those moments or episodes in your life that made you stronger today, like this future stronger you?
Yeah. Oh, many.
The most, you know, the one that you said, this was the one.
Yeah.
At least one of the ones, you know?
Yeah. I think moving to the U.S.,
Nice.
it was a really great thing. It was a bold move because I was young and alone.
Fierce, and yes, here I go.
Yeah, right? But I think moving to the U.S., and I'll tell you why. I grew up in Africa, and I learned to be content with little, and it worked, right? And then sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you get exposed to it. But one of the things that has probably shaped the grown-up person that I am today is the experiences that I had after I moved to the U.S. And those experiences leaned more towards me not being able to do things because of my skin color, because of where I come from, because I have an accent. And I had many of those experiences. And it used to ruffle my feathers all the time because I'm like, but what do you mean I can't?
Yeah.
I don't understand. But what does my skin color have to do with anything? Like,
Right.
I didn't get it. And I genuinely didn't get it because where I grew up, everybody looked like me. So I never really paid much
Right.
attention to it.
You're like, what's different?
Yeah,
Right.
and exactly. And the people that were around me that were very successful, that could do the things that I wanted to do, look like me. So for me to hear that, and then to be in a, like, but what does having come from Africa mean? Like, what does it mean? Like, what does it change anything about me? So I think those experiences kind of, it set me back a little bit in terms of, whoa, you kind of now have to prove that you can, even where you know you can, you know? And I had to figure out, what does that mean for other people? Because I knew what it meant for me.
Right.
I did. But then when I bring that to the table, it doesn't always work out. So I had to learn what does it mean for the other person, so that I can continue to progress, because I want to progress. And those were very challenging times, and they're not over yet, but I've become a better person in dealing with it, and knowing how to navigate it, and knowing how to empower others to also walk through that journey. But those were some of the moments that were very defining for me, and especially because I was transitioning from being, a young adult into a grown up, and it's like now you're in this stage where you're like ready to take on life, but then life says pause, and I'm like, but I can't.
And it sounds like this is what made you even better to understand that magic, or like I wouldn't say there is a recipe, but that good formula of customer experience, of bringing the joy. Because it's like you have an extra pair of, glasses to bring value added, and to say, this is level, super level of what an experience would be. And sometimes we just forget, it's just customer experience, but who's the customer? It's you and I. It's everyone living their own experience. And I'm imagining experiences like the ones you just shared, especially with cultural shocks, differences, etc., make you have a richer point of view, and it's helping you to bring more joy to the world, right?
Humanize it.
Humanize it. There you go.
Humanize it. Just they're human beings. I know they're upset and they're calling you and they're cursing you out, and they're all but they're human beings. Let's go down to that level, and then give them a different experience that will change their perspective, or bring them out of that frustration they're in. Maybe they don't qualify in your eyes, but they're still human beings. So let's go back there and then give them a really good treatment.
And with that word, something rang my bell again. It was, what do you think of technology, AI, and the humans? Like, many people around these days are just like, oh my God, thank God the robots do not know how to make architecture yet. But, and in CX, we're advancing. So what are your thoughts on that?
So I know a lot of people are afraid that AI is taking over, it's going to come take our jobs and all of that. I think my short answer is yes, it will. We just have to embrace it. It's we're not fooling anybody. It will, and we need to embrace it. I think the key point for me is it is not going to take over all our jobs. There's never going to be a time where now, because we have AI, people don't have jobs and they just chill, I don't know, food stuff.
In movies,
move to Mars because Earth is taken over by AI. No, it will, and we need to embrace it and take it positively, and then turn it around and say, how can I benefit from it? How can we as humanity benefit from it, right? So we've seen a lot of evolution in technology. Even today, the social media space that didn't exist back in the day when I was trying to figure out what MySpace was,
that page, customizing MySpace.
Technology has grown a lot. ATM came out, and then you think okay, now we're no longer going to need tellers. But guess what? You walk into a bank, there are still tellers. So I think that there is a place for technology, and there's a place for us to live with the technology. We should not be afraid that tech and AI are taking over, and we should not be afraid for losing our jobs. In fact, we should think about how can we lose part of what we do to AI, because there is benefit to that, and then how do we work together with the AI? And I think if we do that, we're going to become a better universe. It's going to be a better place for us. I don't think I don't know, today if you went to a store, just any store, and an item cost, I don't know, $25 and change, and then the person you go to the cashier with does not take any credit cards, it has to be cash, and then you're transacting, they're doing the math in their head or a piece of paper, you would think they're crazy. Why? Because you could just use a calculator, or you could just swipe a card or tap, right. So when we look at people who are doing things in what we would call ancient, we think they're old school. But then at the same breath, we're complaining about technology. So like I think we should just embrace it.
Exactly. It's like if you're gonna leave all of your appliances and every single thing that you're using today now, but use it something important. Like we don't have to be afraid of that, but knowing how to live with it. Like how to complement each other.
Yeah. Don't tell me to wash my clothes by hand. I did that. and now we have machines. I could just plug it in and wash it.
We know how to do that. No, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you.
Exactly. So like there's a place for it.
Yes.
And I do think what we need to do as a society is understand what parts of the workforce or workplace do we want to apply our technology. I think there's a smart way of doing it and a not so smart way of doing it. So if you do it the right way, you get to actually benefit from it.
Yes, definitely. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So and now I want to touch another very important topic because I'm feeling that energy. You guys need to feel this, like it's happening. As a woman, as a CX woman leader, I know that you attend many, like conferences. You're very, very well known in the industry for all of your thoughts and actions. So I was reading a little bit, doing my homework, reading a little bit of the environments where you have been, and there was a quote that said, like, we're trying to make a revolution in the world, one woman at a time. I'm like, one woman at a time.
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, what does that mean to you, and you being this leader today that you are? How do you empower not just women, but in general? Like, how do you empower anyone that crossed your path, and perhaps that hasn't crossed it yet, but how do you do this, and how do you leave that impact for quality of life, for, better thoughts, better actions through the woman that you are?
Yeah, that's a good question. I love that part too, one woman at a time, because I think, like, when I go back in history and read all of the things that women had to endeavor to get some of the very basic requirements, provisions that we enjoy today, sometimes it grieves me, I'm like, but what do you mean, but then probably back in those days the women didn't mind, and those that did then fought for it, right? Yeah. So there's a part of me that feels that those type of, like, equal rights for women and the opportunities being presented for women, that I feel the need to continue with that journey, like it doesn't stop, right? So we need to continue to make opportunities for women. And I also take my position as a leader in the industry to say, if I'm looking at, like, people that are in high school or coming up in college, they're aspiring to be where I am today. These are the people I was looking at when I was coming up in their age and thinking, oh my gosh, one day I would like to be there, and I would like to be one of them. But I may not always have had the connections or the answers or the opportunities provided for me. So for me today is taking the seat that I have and just being able to turn it around and bring others with me. So what revolutionize means for you could be different for me, but understanding what are the paths that we can create for women and how do we make that possible? Because I think we do talk a lot about doing it, but it's the action behind the talk that matters. Yes. So any opportunity that I have that directly impacts women, I'll take it. And I would use it to my advantage. So, like, being part of the CC Women arena is like a beautiful thing for me, because I know that there are women who want the opportunity and want to understand how to leverage it, that I can help. But just in general, I always say, like, the experiences that we go through, they're not just for us. They're for everybody around us. True. So if you can make somebody's life just a little bit better because they encountered you, then if we all did that, I think
imagine
life would be awesome, right? Yeah. Just a little bit. Like, I met you, and then just you impacted my life in a positive way, and then I meet somebody else and they do the same, and like, if we all did that, just make somebody's life just a little bit better than you found it.
Yeah.
I think that would be magical. So I try to apply that in everything I do.
You're doing it. You impacted my life. Trust me.
Look at that.
So I'm speechless. Like, you know, like you got everything that a woman could ever, you know, like think or, you know, like question in a good positive way. Like, how do I do it? Especially for people who are immigrants that feel like a bit different, but I think that's just a plus, right? As you said at the beginning of this conversation, like just use it to your favor, shape yourself, do your future you.
Yep.
And that helps you generating a different type of experience, which is for you
Yep.
to give joy and feel that joy
Yep.
around you and others, right?
Yep. Yep.
Amazing.
And we shouldn't be afraid, you know,
Yeah.
if I could say that. We shouldn't be afraid to live authentically, you know. I know
Yes.
sometimes like society would challenge us as women, as human beings. It would challenge us and you know, poke you a little bit and want to see like what are you really made of. But I always say just be who you are.
Yeah.
Like just truly be, you know, like you mentioned about being an immigrant, and I have an accent. I can't change that. I'm sorry.
It's the essence.
I can't change
Right.
that. And sometimes I have to educate the people on the other side and say, hey, don't mistake my accent for illiteracy. And I've seen that play in action so many times. And I'm like, they're struggling to figure out the words to say, not because they're not smart. It's
Just don't
because
know.
this is
Yeah.
like, for me, English is my third language, you know?
Yeah,
So,
well, you have like
so
five
excuse
more.
me
Yeah,
if I have an
but-
accent, right? But it's like those type of
Yeah.
instances that those are the moments that you want to be impactful to other people, and being on that side, I'm able to notice it. And that's what I was telling you. If you go through an experience, like I make sure I mention it, like if we're in work meetings
Yeah.
or if I see it being misused, I make sure to mention it to educate that next person so that even when I'm not there, they will remember it. And then for that person, their experience is now better. Little things like that.
Right.
Like who would think like
Right.
an accent would mean anything?
Right.
But then I'm
That's
also
an experience,
right?
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it has its purpose. Every
Right.
single experience has
Right.
a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that, I want to know, and I want to tell you, like we at XR, we live very wild. Like we really like to keep it wild. But as you said, it could mean something different to everybody.
Yeah.
So what does staying wild mean to you? How do you stay wild?
I stay wild by being spontaneous.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's a personal choice. It's a personal part of my life. Very, very spontaneous. Like, I will just wake up and make a crazy decision and then go do it.
Yeah.
Unapologetically. And this is wild for me because I'm usually very structured.
Okay.
And I like to plan ahead. I like to know things before time. So, like, that's naturally the person I am. I like to be purposeful and intentional. So for me, staying wild is like, I feel like going this place today. All right, let's go.
Let's do it.
Wait, how much does this cost? Oh, well.
Whatever. Just go. Just flow with it.
Exactly.
Nice.
And I'm a movie watcher too. I love watching movies. So like I will have a very, very tight schedule and I will put everything on pause to watch a 2-hour movie.
There you go. That's how you
I
do it.
deserve it. I'm gonna watch it.
That's amazing. So,
Yeah.
Maureen, thank you very much. I mean, seriously, there was an amazing energy. I connected very much, very well with you. I appreciate you sharing your stories and telling us a little bit more from who you are.
Yeah.
That joy that you bring.
Yeah.
And, well, is there anything else that you want to share? Two things that anyone thinking or wondering, what should I keep from this that they should keep in their heads?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
You're
I love this connection.
Yes. Feel it?
Yeah, it feels very authentic, very real. I really love it. But what I would like to say is don't make apologies for who you are. I think that's what if take away anything, don't make apologies for who you are. Go be you. And then while you are you, make sure that you're bringing joy to other people. Let other people have that joyful experience
Yeah.
when they interact with you. So whatever that looks like for you, if you're in the CX industry, woohoo!
There you go. Bring that joy.
Right, bring that joy. But that's really it. Just live unapologetically yourself, be true to yourself, and then make sure that you bring joy to the people that you interact with. That's it.
Wow. I'm speechless. Thank you. I mean, thank you very much once again. And thanks everyone for watching us. We'll catch up soon in a different episode. But yeah, just go and rewatch, hit like. It's for free. And Google the ugali word. We want to see what it is.
Yeah, that's like. So funny. Yeah. UGALI.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks.
Huge shout out to Brittany Kelly and Carly Carolla at FW Rentals in lovely Las Vegas, Nevada for their support in custom logo work. FW Rental provides rental and custom build-out solutions for all of your event and production needs. We love you, Brittany and Carly. Learn more at fwrental.com. That's fwrental.com. And that's our show. CX&Chill is a production of EXO Studios, the creative marketing arm of ExtendOps. With today's host, Diana Castañeda, executive producer Sean McCreary, producers David Spear, Clarissa Coronado, and Memo Davalos, editors and videographers Santiago Aguirre, Alfonso Ramirez, graphic support from Jordan Madrid, and social media guru Claudia Corona.